With the emergence of AI art, I've seen story after story talking about how either it's going to take over the art industry or how it can never match up with real art that took someone years of dumping their heart and soul into to perfect. Now, I'm not an artist, but game dev is kinda like art, so I was curious if this industry was also being threatened by an ever-evolving AI. To accomplish this, I wanted to make a game using ChatGPT. If you haven't heard about it by now, ChatGPT is actually really cool. You can just type in a prompt like write me a song or an essay and it will just spit one out for you. Yeah, it might be generic, but it only takes seconds. But the thing I wanted to take advantage of was its ability to write code, even though it says it can't. I know this video has been made before, but I wanted to talk about cool AI stuff, so let's get into it. I started by not being able to access ChatGPT. Not looking so good for you so far, AI. Once I finally got in, I decided to let it decide what game it wanted to make, and it spit out an idea that sounded awfully similar to another terrible game I have already made. So I regenerated the response, and this time it had an idea of a simple fruit catching game. But it really surprised me with how detailed its response was. It did not have to include power-ups and shields, but since it did, we're gonna add it. I prompted it for some more details to get the kind of fruit, the things that hurt you, and who the player is, and with that we can really get started. Now while ChatGPT can create ideas and code, it can't use Unity. At least not yet. So I'm going to do this part myself. I opened up a new project and made a list of scripts we needed, since I kinda still had to design the actual game. Once I got that, I went back to GPT and got it to code a fruit spawner. This was the first time I had used it, and I didn't realize it would walk you through all the code it just made, so even if you have never coded before, you might be able to understand how it works. This is huge for beginners. I gave it a few more requirements to add, and it just added it directly to the script, and it was ready to go in the game. I created 4 placeholder objects just so we can see it spawning in correctly, and it was not. I think the problem has to do with the way it programmed the wait time. I never tried it this way, and instead of fighting with it forever, I just gave it some small tweaks and it worked great. Next, I had to get it to code the player script, and this was going to be the most complex script of the game. I started with some player movement, which I was pleasantly surprised with. I even got it to display the current score and your current health using Text Mesh Pro. I then asked it to be able to collect objects it touches and react to them based on what type of item it was. The AI decided to do this using tags, so that's how we had to set it up in Unity. I then asked it to reset the scene if the health was 0, and it just added that in. And now that the player script is all done, I tried to set up the objects falling. I started by just adding gravity to them, but this felt really weird, so I decided to make ChatGPT do it instead. The first script it put out ended up being really boring since all the objects fell at the same speed. So I made it randomize the speed, and with hardly any time spent, we've basically already got a game. Now while this game isn't super complex, and I'm sure many of you can do this in an hour, most beginners would take way longer, and this tool could be a huge help for them. I know my first game took me months to make, and I could probably make it in a weekend now. Anyways, the game works, but I wanted to touch it up a bit. I debated using aiArt for this so that everything was made with an AI, but I didn't feel good doing that, so I just made some subpar pixel art myself. I started with all the things that fall from the sky, so now you can easily tell what each thing does. I then made a boy holding a backpack like the AI wanted, and I threw in a quick background to tie it all together. I ended up going back to ChatGPT some more to change how the shield worked, because right now it basically acts the same as health. Now you can only have one shield at a time, and it breaks if you're hit with something bad. I went to GPT later to get scripts for the title scene and the final scoreboard, but it was down again. So I improvised and just repurposed some of the code I already have, and I think that's fair. I added some simple sound effects, and boom, an AI generated a game. So now that I've made a game using AI, am I worried I can be replaced? No. Have you seen this game? I actually think this is an extremely useful tool for people who want to get into game development but don't know where to start. All the code it spit out was really easy to read, and the descriptions were pretty thorough. And I mean, if we're being honest, how much different is this than just Googling code? It is limited, like I still had to tie it all together in Unity, and I don't think people with no skill can just make Celeste now. Just like with AI art, you can make something generic look pretty good, but the AI has not mastered all the rules of art yet. Game design is still something that a real person has to create. Yeah, you can get some ideas, but you still will have to be creative with it, which is the whole point anyways. Unfortunately, I think this does have the possibility of leading to Steam being flooded with even more asset flips, but don't think you can make a bestseller just by using AI. But let me know what you guys think. I'm fascinated with how advanced AI is becoming and would love to talk about it with you guys. And with that, I'm going to get back to making games without AI. So if you want to see how that's going, check out this video, and I'll see you guys next time.